You have a lot of things going on at the same time. You had the German government selling some Bitcoin.
The German government continues to sell as Jerome Powell in Congress today signaled when to expect rate cuts, which would be rocket fuel.
The most recent inflation readings, however, have shown some modest further progress.
Watch today's whole video. I want to share with you this clip. But is now the time to sell your crypto and then buy back later? What catalyst could cause a reversal for Bitcoin to go back up? Well, just understand that the German government is now left with 22,800 Bitcoin, less than half of its original holdings. They are running out of Bitcoin to sell, and while yes, half of their holdings are sold, which is good, the other half still remains. And actually just looking at the 25% dip we were taken down to with the first half, if Germany sells the other half, that could take us down to $39,000 per BTC. Now, I will push back on that a little bit because it wasn't just the German government selling that took us down. Political insider Anthony Scaramucci explains.
What is going on? I know I ask you this every time, but it's such a volatile asset class that the question needs to be re-asked because it was at north of 70 and now here we are.
Just promise me if we get to 100,000 at the end of the year, you'll invite me back.
I definitely will.
I like it. 100K. But why is Bitcoin crashing?
You have a lot of things going on at the same time. You had the German government selling some Bitcoin. You have the Mt. Gox bankruptcy, which has been a 10-year drawn-out affair, is now going to be releasing about 140,000 Bitcoins. And so Skybridge, alongside of Fortress, participated in that. And so you have a combination of these things going on at the same time, that there's been some selling pressure in the ETF. And so when that happens, Bitcoin is a volatile asset. You also had a halving, not to get into the Bitcoin jargon with you, but
I think our viewers are well versed on that.
Okay, so every time you have a halving, a result of which it forces the miners to sell some Bitcoin, to keep up their revenues, which puts temporary pressure on Bitcoin. But we still love the fundamentals of Bitcoin long term.
And fundamentally, nothing's changed.
And I do think, as I said, it'll be 170,000 post-halving, but I think it can get to 100,000 by year end, but it has to chug through this slog right now. One last quick point.
Sure.
FTX is going to be releasing shortly $16 billion roughly of cash to investors that had their accounts at FTX. And so that's very good news for Bitcoin holders, I believe, because a lot of that was in Bitcoin. It got frozen in the bankruptcy. It got dollarized, unfortunately, at low numbers for Bitcoin. But it's going to go back to those account holders shortly. And we think a lot of that may flow into the assets.
Oh, I was going to ask you that.
So FTX, during the bankruptcy, already sold this into cash. This is $16 billion in cash that crypto investors are about to get back. And so let's take stock of exactly where we are today after this recent dip. Yes, the German government still now has less than half to sell, but the US institutional market is buying. There's heavy trading going on right now from weak hands into strong hands. The Bitcoin ETFs are buying the dip. They bought over 5,240 Bitcoin yesterday alone. This is a huge wave of money that are buying Germany's bags. In fact, just taking yesterday, the US Bitcoin ETFs are scooping up almost exactly the same amount of Bitcoin that is being sold abroad. We are witnessing a real-time intergenerational transfer of wealth between nations. And with interest rate cuts not happening this time, but very, very soon.
The committee has stated that we do not expect it will be appropriate to reduce the target range for the federal funds rate until we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. Incoming data for the first quarter of this year did not support such greater confidence. The most recent inflation readings, however, have shown some modest further progress. And more good data would strengthen our confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%.
Of course, when this pivot happens, assuming this doesn't happen at the next official meeting, which is at end of July, we could expect that official pivot either September, November, or December.
We continue to make decisions meeting by meeting. We know that reducing policy restraint too soon or too much could stall or even reverse the progress that we've seen on inflation. At the same time, in light of the progress we've made both in lowering inflation and in cooling the labor market over the past 2 years, elevated inflation is not the only risk we face. Reducing policy restraint too late or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will continue its practice of carefully assessing incoming data and their implications for the evolving outlook, the balance of risks, and the appropriate path of monetary policy.
So make no mistake about this, when rate cuts do happen, this is rocket fuel for risk assets like crypto. And my plan has always been this, which first off, when the halving happened, this channel was ready. We were expecting a potential crash. My view on the Bitcoin halving has always been this, or actually every major event in crypto, that if you're asking me, should I expect volatility in cryptocurrency the day of a major event, then my bias is yes. So my view on the halving is it will be a case of buy the rumor, sell the news. And all that to say, I am not selling my crypto now to buy back lower. That's a losing game, in my opinion, trying to time the market. And some of you maybe are yelling at me, well, you should have sold way up here. Or at least I should have. That would have been the smart play. I like to buy during the bear markets as we go lower and sell during the bull markets as we push higher. And middle ground, just hold. Worst case scenario for me, if we do hit that $39,000 BTC, this is strong support, in my opinion, around $40,000, $42,000. A few days ago could have also easily been the local bottom. Nobody can see the future. Bitcoin right now is still in between the accumulate and still cheap category. It's best to buy during basically a fire sale and start selling closer to the orange when people start questioning, is this a bubble? Right now, we are still in chop solidation, sideways summer. Now, this was just announced, my panel for the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. It is myself on stage with leadership at Robinhood, leadership at Gemini, and leadership at Kraken. These are some of the smartest people in crypto that actually run the exchanges. I'm going to ask them what happens next. This will be awesome. I hope to see you there. 3 days remaining before ticket prices increase, so you have 3 days left. And use code Altcoin Daily for 10% off your ticket. Link down below.
Anyway, I want to share something with everybody. This is hot off the press as of 2 hours ago.
Cardano releases Node 9.0, paving the way for the upcoming Chang hard fork.
That is the age of Voltaire in a box. That's Chang hard fork. We are fork ready.
So the Node software has been released. It now just has to be implemented by the Cardano node runners. And the significance of what this hard fork does, this hard fork will soon hand control of the $13 billion blockchain directly to the ADA holders.
But one thing that is so far beyond all of them is that we now have access, thanks to Chang, to the collective brilliance of all of you, and you have a say. That's the big differentiator. If you hold Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, you don't have a say. With Cardano, you do. And that forever is what's going to make the biggest difference.
That is the video. I will be talking to you on the Roundtable app on this post. How low can Bitcoin go? Again, the YouTube comment section, the Twitter comment section can be overrun with bots. So in order to communicate, have the conversation, you are commenting, I'm responding back. Link down below. See you tomorrow.